Okay. So, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, guys. Welcome back to Java Lab. Let's start with it. Okay. Let students join as and when they come. So, this week we will be looking at Java GUI mainly. Okay. So, we'll be looking at GUI in Java, Java Abstract Window Toolkit, Java AWT, and we will also be looking at event handling in Java and then like Java Spring. This would be the agenda. So, okay, so let them keep coming in. Wait. So, probably let's wait for a few minutes.
Sir,
And
you
some more
there's actually a solution to get around that.
How
Uh,
to?
Sir, beside the Java lab, there is a lock kind of a symbol. So if you click on that, and you should turn on the quick access on the bottom left.
Just okay. So where? Ah, this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Host
Then you
controls.
can switch on quick access should be turned on.
Quick access. Okay. Right. Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
We keep forgetting the things, the
Yes, sir.
provisions. So now everybody can jump in. That's very good. So then we can go to the class pleasantly. Good. As I was saying, like we'll be discussing about GUI in Java and Java Abstract Window Toolkit and event handling in Java, and we will also be looking at Java Spring. Okay. So this is what we will try to this week's lab. Java's original GU library was the Abstract Window Toolkit, AWT. Sync was added by the time of Java Standard Edition 1.2. So this is already around 1996, no, around 99. Okay. And then like recent addition to this GUI in Java is Java FX. We don't have to call it very recent. Already by around 2010, okay, Oracle has announced that Java FX will be the main GUI. Okay, but still, like Swing is very popular and it is being used in a lot of applications. As part of this week and then like next week's labs, as part of this course, okay, we'll be looking at all these things. Today we will already look at AWT and then like Swing. Okay. Based on the time, next week like we'll be looking at Java FX and probably some applets. So let's first look at Java AWT, Abstract Window Toolkit. It's an API to basically develop GUI or window-based applications in Java. Okay. The interesting thing is like AWT components are platform dependent. That components are actually displayed according to the view of the operating system. So they are not platform independent. They are platform dependent. So if you develop GUI with the AWT, so it will be the same as any other window-based applications which you see in that particular operating system. Okay, so they are operating system still. So due to that reason, like AWT is a little bit heavyweight. Its components are using these resources of operating systems. So that's why like it's a bit heavy. So in terms of its class hierarchy, of course we have seen like object is the superclass, okay, for everything. Okay, and there is this component which is actually extending this object. And there are several components like buttons, labels, tick boxes. This is not a complete list actually, to be frank. So there are text fields, okay. So list, and then such things are there. Then there are these containers. Okay, there are these containers. Containers are actually extended by Windows and panel is actually extended by applet. So these things like we will see probably next week. Okay, applet we will see next week. But then like Windows, okay, window is actually extended by frame and dialog. as part of today's more or less lab session, like we'll be using mostly frame, and of course all the components. So that's about Java AWT hierarchy. So the classes. Okay, so I said like the container is the component in AWT that can actually contain other components such as buttons, text fields, labels, etc. So you basically take a container, something like a frame, okay? So something like a frame, and you try to put all these other components onto this frame. That's how like basically GUI works in Java AWT. Also in Swing as well. Okay. So let us try to look at a simple AWT example. There are two approaches because like we will be using the frame. One thing is like you can actually extend the frame class. So this is how like you actually achieve through inheritance. Or else like we can create an object of the frame class using an association. Okay, so this is basically Java lab as part of the object-oriented design course. So these fundamental concepts are also interesting. So let us try to see like how both inheritance and association can be used for creating a basic AWT thing. Okay, so AWT Windows. Let's go and try this. So everybody is with me, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
I'm audible. Okay. Because I am, you might have noticed I am at home. Sometimes the network may be disconnected. So occasionally keep telling me something. Okay. Then I know like it is working. Or else like I may be just telling and then like the network is disconnected. Sometimes I notice it. Okay. So this week, like instead of typing everything, what I have created is Java lab line. I have created another project. Okay. This we have been seeing. And I created a package. So in .ac.uohyd.sas.sriraman. And then like I created this first GUI class. Okay. Basically what I said is like I will be demonstrating two things. One is like by extending the frame class first. Okay, so let us try to do that one first. So let me try to comment out my other part. So this is a class. First GUI is the class. So of course, like you know about how to create these things. Okay, so I don't have to tell these things. So you just go and create a class. And this class is actually extending frame. The frame is actually from java.awt. Okay. So now we are working with the AWT. So basically like this is the package. java.awt.com. I'm importing that. So basically like my first GUI, I am extending a frame. Okay. Since I am extending a frame, this is my constructor, first GUI. All I am doing is like I am creating a button. Okay, we have actually seen. So basically what I have created is like since I have extended the frame, so now I have a container on which like I would like to add these buttons and probably a text field. Okay. First let me add a button first. Okay. So what I have done is like I have created a button B is equal to new button. So click me, and then like I will set the bounds of the button. So basically what I'm saying is like x-axis. So it is from x-axis is 30 pixels. Okay, so that is from the left it is 30 pixels to the right side, and then like 100 pixels down. Okay, y coordinate, and then like the width of the button is 80 pixels. Okay, and then like the height is 30 pixels. Okay, this is a button which I have created, and then like basically I'm adding the button. Okay, so which is like add B. Since this is the container frame, okay, so it is directly added to that one. Okay, so the add method it already has, because our class is actually extending that frame. Of course, once I have that one, I'm setting the size of my frame itself to 300. Okay, set size. is the method for that one, 300 300. And then like I am setting the layout to be null. Okay, what these layouts and layout managers we will be discussing later. Okay, for the time being I'm setting the layout manager to be null, and I'm setting the visibility to be true. Okay, set visible true. If I don't set that one, it will not be visible. Okay, I will demonstrate it to you. Now all I have done is like, since my class has actually extended the frame, all I have to is just create an object of it, and my constructor will take care of all the things. Okay, so in my public static void main, so basically all I created is an object of that particular class, and then like it will be showing that thing for me. So now let us try to see this one. Okay, so now let us try to execute it. What will happen? See, this is our first GUI. Basically, like all I created is just a button, and when I click it, nothing is happening because I have not written anything. The interesting thing is like I have also not written any background code or like basic code for the Windows either. So even if I try to stop it, it will not stop. Of course, maximization still works, but stopping will not work like this. Okay. So then the best way for me when I'm using Eclipse is, see, this is where like, are you seeing this red button?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is where like you can actually terminate the current process. So that will basically kill the window. Okay. So this is how like you can write your simplest GUI possible. So just extend the frame. Okay. So this is how like we are using the inheritance, like we are extending the frame, and then like in the constructor, like I am actually creating whatever the structure which I want to create with all the things. Now I said like I will also demonstrate what will happen if I don't set the visibility to true. So this is actually necessary. If you don't put that visibility to true, see, no window has come. Okay, so visibility is not there. So that's why like you need to have the frame set visibility should be true. Okay, remember that, because that is one of the most often like people will see like write their code and then like it is not running. Okay, people miss the point, like it is not just like you develop a window that's more or less a frame, but you also have to show its visibility to be true. Clear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, right, good. That's about the, of course, again, since I have not used this close, by the end of this session, like I will also show you the source code, how you can actually close it. Okay, so don't worry. So for the time being, like I close it like this. Now, this is how I have demonstrated it by using inheritance, by extending a frame. Alternatively, you can create a frame object within your Java class. And let me demonstrate it with this association. So if I want to demonstrate with association, then I have to comment this one out. I could have typed it, but then like I thought, then let me put it already, because it is too simple code. Good. So basically, like if I don't want to extend a frame, okay, so the way like earlier I extended a frame, so my class itself is a subclass of frame, so then almost all these methods are directly accessible for me. Alternatively, what I can do is like I can create just a class, okay, and then like I can create a frame first. Create a frame. Frame f is equal to new frame, okay. So I created the frame first, and what I have done is like I created again a button. Button B is new button, and set the same bounds, okay. And now the point is, now it is not a subclass of frame anymore. So the add directly will not work. So what I have to do is like I create a button, okay, by these set bounds and everything. And then like I have to add this one to the frame. So now I have to add the button to the frame. So that's what we have discussed, isn't it? So you basically create a container, more or less like a window, or in this case, the frame, which is the subchild of those things. So that's the ancestor. So you take a frame, okay, frame object, and then you create a button object, and you basically add it to the frame. Okay, so this is the using this sort of association. So f dot add, I added the button. Then now I am setting the frame size to be the same size. Okay, so earlier it was frame. And again, like I have to set the visibility. I mean, set visibility true is the next line. Okay, and I am also setting the layout to be null. What these layouts we'll discuss. Okay, don't rush with the things. We'll go step by step. So then in this case as well, like I can create a public static void main, and then like if I create an object of it, so the constructor will basically will create all the things for me. Okay, let me try to run it again. So I create the button again. So earlier like it was using inheritance. Now this time it is created using association. So again this will not work. So I have to terminate it like this. So clear guys as of now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's how like you basically create a very basic GUI. So the fundamental idea is like you have to take one of the containers, one of the type of the containers. Mostly we'll be using frame. On the frame, like you will be taking different components, okay, these GUI components, and you will be adding them there. Okay. So that's how actually it works. Now let us proceed with our session further. So earlier we have seen a window on which there was a button. But when we are clicking the button, nothing is happening. Okay. Why? Because we have not written any code for that particular clicking. And if you can't interact with this sort of GUI, whatever you are developing, having just the GUI is useless. So we need to basically think in terms of event handling in Java. When you click the button, it is actually the event. Okay. So basically, like changing the state of an object is known as the event. Like say, for example, clicking the button or dragging the mouse around. So these are all the events. Okay. So basically, Java follows this delegation event model for handling these events. Okay. So the fundamental idea is a source actually generates an event, and it actually delegates it to one or more listeners. Say, for example, there is a button. If you click the button is the one which is actually generating that particular event, which is actually caught by one of the listeners. Okay. There are different types of listeners possible. Okay. In a lecture, like we cannot discuss all the things. From this week, like I assume, like I will give you certain references. You guys have to basically check through them a lot. Okay. So I always keep the references here. So the listener simply waits until it actually receives an event. Okay. So let's try to look at, say, for example, one of these references. Then you will know event handling in Java. So I said like there will be events, and then like there will be listeners, isn't it? See how many events are there. So action event is there, action listener is there. So action event, when you click a button, okay, so it can be an action, it is an action event which will be generated, which is handled by an action listener. Similarly, when I have this sort of mouse movement is there, mouse motion listener is there. Mouse, when I am moving the mouse, it is generating a mouse event. There is this mouse listener and mouse motion listener, which actually can be used to basically do something. So I will demonstrate with one of things, then you will know about the others. So mouse wheel event, so I don't have that one, but then like if I had that external mouse, so it will also work. Key event, when I press a key, it can be a key event that will be caught by a key listener. Item event, So whenever I have these check boxes or radio buttons or something like that one, it actually works. Adjustment event is also there. Okay, window event, component event, container event, focus event. So when you go into the focus, there are a lot of events. In this part of the lecture or lab, like we cannot check all the things. So I will be demonstrating probably one or two of them. Okay, I will demonstrate window event and also like action event. But then like rest of the things like you have to learn on your own. So basically like I have left the references here from Java T-Point. So these tutorials are very good actually. So you go through Java AWT and Java Swing and also event handling for as part of today's lab sessions. You basically go through them one after the other. So coming back to our lab session. So there are different events possible, and then like there will be different listeners which will be catching those events. Okay. So basically what you will do is like once you have a particular component, something like a button, you have to register a particular listener to that one. As I mentioned, like button, when you click it, it will generate an action event. So for the button, like you have to add action listener and you have to add an action listener which will process the action event when you click a button. Okay, I will demonstrate it, then you will understand it. Okay, just wait for a few more points. Similarly, like we can have this text field. Okay, the text field again, like it also can generate like add action listener. So it can also generate an action event, action listener. Okay, so you have to add whenever you have a text field, like you have to add action listener, and then like you have to add an action listener. Text fields can also have these text listeners as well. So basically, like these are only for the two components I am talking about. So I just now shown you that there is huge list of these events and then like the listeners which can be used in different components. Okay, check through the links which I have provided, then you will understand all the things better. But let me try to have demonstrate this event handling in Java. Okay, let me try to implement the listener. There are different approaches using which like I can have this sort of event handling in Java. So either using the implementation of the listener or like inner class or by anonymous inner classes. Let me try to demonstrate all the three things for you. Again for this one as well, like I have written the source code already. But then like I will be explaining line by line and then like I will show you how the things basically work. Again, like let me try to comment this one out. Okay, I tried a lot of things. Okay. Okay. The next one, like I will write it again. Okay, don't worry. So basically, like what I am doing is something like this. Okay, let me try to explain you the source code line by line, then you will understand it. So what I am trying to demonstrate is like demonstrate the events. Okay. So this time, like I am using the inheritance, so I'm basically extending the frame. So basically, like I have a text field and I have a button. Okay, first let me try to run it, then I will tell you like what I am doing. See, this is my window, AWT. What I have is like I have a text field, I have a button. When I click the button, all it will be saying is like hello world. Okay, so the text appears in the text field. So when I click it, okay, so basically it will happen like that. Okay, so again, like I don't have that window implemented, so at certain point, like I will implement it. So to have that one, what I am doing is earlier, like I already have shown you. So what I will be doing is like I created a text field and I created a button. Text field TF is equal to new text field. Okay, so I created a text field object. Okay, so then again for the text field, like I'm setting the bounds. So X, Y. So earlier I have shown you. X is the left side pixels 60. Okay, so top 50 pixels. Okay, from there, like from that point, its width is 170 and its height is 20. Okay, so that's how like the text field is basically prepared there. So once I have the text field created, I will also create the button B. Okay, and again like I will set it bound. So this is pretty straightforward, looking from the earlier example. So I created a text field and I created a button. Now the interesting thing is, okay, so forget about this line for the time being. What I will be doing is like I will be adding this button and the text field, and then like I will be adding them to this sort of frame. I will set the size to 300 by 300. Okay, and I am setting the layout to be null and then like setting the visibility to be true. Okay, so if I would have created just this much, okay, so then basically nothing will happen. I mean, again the same thing. So just like earlier, like I have the button and I have the text field, but when I click, nothing will happen. Okay. For this sort of event to basically work, as I have mentioned, what I have to do is I am trying to add, okay, for this B, which is the button. For the button, I am adding this sort of action listener. Action listener, and then like I am adding this. This is like, that means like I am adding the same object to that add action listener. Why? Because what I have done is like in this class, along with extending the frame, I am also implementing the action listener. So that means like this demo events class already implements this interface action listener. So any object can basically use this demo events object to basically have some sort of behavior for this sort of action listener. And that's what I am doing. For my button, whenever I am adding this action listener of this object. So in that sense, what happens is whenever I click the button, okay, so then it will generate an action event. Action event. When I press the button, it will basically generate an action event. And the event will be handled by this object, okay, so which is in this case the demo events object, which is actually implementing the action listener. What all the implementation basically action listener's implementation is doing is, so this action interface, so this is an interface, okay, so the interface has several methods, okay, so action listener interface has one method actually which is to be implemented. So public void action performed, and action event is the one which is the object which is receiving. Okay. So basically, like whenever there is an action to be performed, okay. So which is what all I am doing is like TF. TF is my text field. So I am setting the text field dot set text. Set text is the method, and all I am doing is hello world. I am sending it. So TF text fields not just set. There are lots of methods are there. Say for example, you can also get the text. Okay. So you can also set the background colors. So get color models. Okay. So a lot of things are there. Okay. So we will not be able to demonstrate all the things in the class. But the thing is like, excuse me. I'll be using the most important thing, which is like tf.setText, which I'm setting it to hello world. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a button. To that particular button, when I click the button, it will generate an action event. So that is the important thing. When I click the button, it will generate an action event. So if I click the button, it will generate the action event. That action event has to be caught by something. I said like it will be caught by action listener. Okay. But how the button actually knows to which of the listener it has to send? So when you create the button, you have to add action listener, and the action listener has to be basically added there. And that's what we have actually done in the source code. Okay. So that's about this add action listener. Okay. So now again, like everything should be working. Okay. Since I have set the things. So when I click the button, so it is basically setting the text to be hello world. Even if the next time like I click it, still the same. But of course, like if I would have, okay, so that's okay. Okay, so this is about one approach. So by implementing the listener, so it worked. Now let us try to see, say for example, like can I have an NR class? I can also have an NR class for that one instead of that. So what I will be doing is, so I did too many experiments. So basically like I will redo it for you. So what I will be doing is, for this next demonstration, okay, I will still reuse some things. Or else like everything will become a mess. So what I will be doing is like I will be taking this class. So again, what I have done is like I have just placed this class. So this time like I don't want to implement it here. I will not implement it here. So if I don't want to implement it there, then I don't even need this one method, this method here. What I can do is I can write an NR class. NR classes we have already discussed, isn't it, earlier? So let me try to have another class by, okay, so basically like, so I, of this will not work, okay, so I will show you, just bear with that for a few seconds. So what I can do is like, okay, so let me have like my action listener, okay, so let me try to put my action listener, and let us implement the same thing, implement action listener. And within that particular class, I have this sort of NR class. So we already discussed about NR classes, isn't it? Everybody still remember it? We discussed NR classes probably in lab 3, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The advantage of NR class is, since this class is within that particular demo events class, it has access to all the variables which this demo events class has. So it basically has access to these both these text fields, buttons, and everything, because it is an NR class. Now the point is like I want to implement this action listener. Okay, so my action listener is the class. So basically like what even Eclipse basically suggests me is, so I am implementing the action listener, so I have to implement its methods. So all I can do is like just click it, okay, and then like add all the unimplemented methods. Done, one liner. So basically like I am overriding them. So add action perform, okay, so action event. What I will be doing is like when I click, so this is what like my action listener, which I have created by implementing the action listener by an inner class. And then like what I will be doing is like I will be adding it to the button. Okay, first thing. So basically all I will be doing is, so to my button, like I will be adding the action listener, which will actually handle my thing. So in this case, like my action listener is the class, which is actually implementing the action listener. So I can create an object of that one, and I can basically send it. So then this error is basically gone. So what I want to do is like when I want to, when a button is clicked, I want to set the text fields, text to be some string. Okay, say for example, let's go with the same hello everyone. Okay, say for example, inside. That's it. So this is the second approach. The first approach is like directly in the class itself, like you implement it. Or in the second approach, like I have demonstrated like how I can create an inner class. Since it is an inner class, it has access to all the variables of this outer class. See, the other way it will not work. So, for example, like here you cannot have access to any of these variables. Say, for example, if I create another variable here in time, so we have seen this one. This is not accessible outside. Then, like outside variables are actually accessible within this inner class. Okay. Let us try to demonstrate it first. So this is the second approach. When I click this one, I see follow everyone. Clear now?
Yes, sir.
So great. So event handling, like I have shown you 2 ways. One is by directly implementing the interface. Another one by creating an inner class. I can go so a little bit deeper as well. So this is where like I created this sort of inner class. So now what I will be doing is like completely like this is called as named inner class. So you give this class an inner class name, which is like my action listener. What you can do is like you can even have an anonymous inner class. I think we have already demonstrated this one. Anonymous inner class also like we have used in lecture 3. I don't remember it exactly, but then like I will just try to show it to you again, even if we have. So this time what I will be doing is I don't even want to have an inner class. So I will comment it out. What I will be doing is excellent. So what I will be doing is when I want to add an action listener, all I can do is like I can create a new action listener object itself. Okay. For this one here, it's a little bit tricky. Okay, so if you want the session to be proper, so basically like b.add action listener. So I will be creating a new action listener. Earlier it had the compilations. So when I create this thing, okay, so basically like what it wants is like again I created a new action listener object directly. See, this is an interface here. I'm creating an object with that interface. So that means like that interface should be implemented, isn't it? So that's why like again it asks for, it needs this sort of implementation methods. Again in this case, since this method is within the scope of the class, the outer class, so that's why like this is anonymous inner class, I still have access to the text field. Sorry, text. Okay, so this time I will just add I. Okay. From yesterday evening I am coughing a bit. Hope it is not going higher. Okay, right. So again, let me try to demonstrate. This time, like I am just pressing I. Okay, still I have not implemented this window. So clear? This is the third type. So originally, like I had shown you how you implement it directly in the class. Alternatively, you can have an inner class. Okay. The third approach is by having an anonymous inner class. So all the 3 approaches are clear. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So what we have seen as of now is like we can create some basic windows. some basic GUI objects. So the fundamental idea is like have a container and then like drop I add all the components whichever you want to add, buttons, text fields, labels, okay, checkboxes, radio buttons, whatever you want to add, you just add them there. Okay. So you can basically create a nice GUI out of that one. And then like I also have demonstrated like what happens if a particular thing is a button is clicked. So that's an action event and action listener we have seen. So I also have shown like if I want to basically demonstrate like this mouse event there. So I have that mouse event and then like mouse motion listener and then mouse listener. You can use those things as well. And even the text field also has this sort of text listener also there. So you can also implement those things. So the links which I have given, so you go through them. Okay, there are a lot of examples. Now going further. So I have shown you event handling. But right now, like you might have noticed, like, okay, so if I basically have implemented, if I have an interface, I have to implement all the methods. So the action listener has only one method to be implemented, so it is actually easy. Okay. But then like there are certain listeners which have like say for example at least some 5, 6, 7, 8 methods are there. If you want to create an object, you have to create default implementations for everything. That's a little bit difficult process. I mean like in terms of the source code is concerned, it's a little bit tidy process, untidy process. So basically like Java basically provides these adapter classes. Java adapter classes basically provide the default implementations of the listeners of the interfaces, listener interfaces. So if you inherit the adapter class, you will not be forced to provide the implementation of all the methods of the listener interface. Okay. So basically, like let me try to demonstrate it with one of the adapter, and this time I will demonstrate like how to close the window. Okay. And this is something like which I have been telling like I will be doing that, isn't it? So why you need this one? So okay, I will just add it here only. Okay. So why you need is something like this one. Okay, why you need the adapter classes? It's something like this. Say for example, if I add, for example, by default like to the frame itself, because the point is like I have the frame, which is the extent. So basically, like to the frame itself, I can add mouse listener, or say for example, mouse motion listener. Okay, if I want to add mouse motion listener, okay, and new mouse motion listener. See how many methods I have to implement? Okay, so mouse motion has only two: mouse move or mouse drag. Mouse move or mouse drag. Okay, so I can basically implement these things as well to the frame. Okay, so what I will do is like okay, so why not system dot out dot println. This will just flood my screen. Okay, mouse move. Okay, so for example, the similar thing I will have mouse drag. The point is, what I'm trying to tell here is, and the meanwhile, like I got diverted is, if I have an adapter, if I don't have an adapter, and if I implement the listener itself, in this case, like again an anonymous listener, anonymous inner class, I have to implement all the methods, all these methods in this particular listener, okay, or like whichever the listener I will use. Say for example, like if I do the same thing with, I should have demonstrated the thing what I wanted to demonstrate. So window listener. So if I create a new window listener, it will have so many methods. Okay, sorry. See, how many methods I have to implement? The list basically just keeps on growing. So now if I have to add all this window listener, so basically like I have to implement all the methods. I'm not interested in all these methods actually. I'm interested in only when window open, window iconified, window de-iconified, window deactivation, window closing. I'm interested only in implementing the method for this one. Okay. So basically what I can do is, instead of having this sort of window listener, okay, all I can do is I have a window adapter. A window adapter is a class which already has the default implementations for everything. Now I don't have to have these basic implementations for all these things because default implementation is there already in the window adapter. So is it clear? So all I want to do is like when I want to have this sort of window closed, I want to do something. What I want to do when I want window closed, so I just want to close it. Okay, so basically like so basically what I will be doing is so what is this one? This is the frame. So I have this dispose method. So I will dispose method. Okay. So I'll be using the dispose method. That will close it. Is it clear, guys? Okay. So first, let me try to show it what it will do. See, now every time like I'm moving my mouse, like you can actually see like a lot of mouse moved events are happening. I could have processed anything. So when I move my mouse, I could have changed some text or like, okay, come on, click me, something like that. I can mouse move. I can also drag my mouse. See, I am dragging my mouse. That means like I'm holding my left mouse and then doing the thing. Okay. So it is very easy with this sort of event mechanisms. So everything I can do. Of course, like what I have done now is like click is still high. So earlier when we were closing the window, it was not working. Now it works perfectly because I have added a window listener. Okay, there I have added to the frame. Okay, so earlier this action listener was added to the button. Now I have added the mouse listener and also this window listener directly to the frame itself. Clear? So now that what I'm doing is like when a window closing event is happening, okay. I mean like when I'm closing the window, it is generating a window event which will be caught by this window listener interface, which was actually implemented by the window adapter, which actually has provided me a default implementation for every other method. So for the methods like which I wanted to change, like I will be changing. Or else like the way I have demonstrated, if I would have had a window listener here, I would have had another 8 methods here, which were unnecessary. I was not even using them. Okay, so to make the source code tidy, you need to have these things. Is it clear? Why an adapter is required and how an adapter works? Not just these basic buttons and clicks and then like so and so, literally mouse events, key events. Okay, so all these events are possible. So earlier I have already shown you the list of all these events, and where is that? I think I have already, yeah, the events list is here. So I already have demonstrated, not this one. Okay, so I have kept the reference on the, that's why like you always follow the links. Okay. For example, it has all these events. So action event I have shown, mouse event I have shown, mouse listener I have shown, mouse motion listener I have shown, and Action events like we have seen, window event also I have seen. So I demonstrated at least 3 events. Okay, for you. Remaining events are also the same. Not every component will have the same events generated. Okay, so remember that one. So if you go through this list, like you will also know like which of the components will generate events. Okay, so go through those things. But of course, like as always, like at least I will be demonstrating few things which will make you understand it better. So I have also shown you like how to close the window, isn't it? That's about Java AWT. As I said, like Java AWT, all the screens which you have seen as of now, they are OS specific. So basically, if that is the case, if you run the same program on Windows and if you run the same program on a Linux machine, the GUI will be completely different. It is as per that particular operating system. So the button which you have seen on this Windows machine will not be the same as the button which you will see on your Ubuntu machine. Okay, that's about Java AWT. Now the second type of GUI in Java is the Java Swing. It is actually built on top of AWT API and it is entirely written in Java. Unlike AWT, Java Swing provides platform independent and lightweight components. They are lightweight, so they no more use the operating system specific what is this GUI components. Okay, so they are purely implemented in Java. So that's how like they are basically platform independent. Going from AWT to Swing is really easy. Okay, so earlier like we had this java.awt was a package. So all the classes of Swing are in javax.swing package. Okay, classes for Java, Swing API. And earlier like we were using this button, text field, text area. Okay, so all those things are the components. What the Swing package does is like if you put a J in front, J, then it is a Swing object. Okay, so you have to think in terms of the developments. Say for example, when we were, I think around 1997, originally AWT was the only solution. Then Swing came as the next iteration. So Swing was completely rebuilt. Okay, so everything was rewritten. So everything was based on Java. But then, like you could not break the earlier GUI applications which we have already developed at that time. Okay, around 98 or so. So then Swing came. So the easiest solution what Swing has found is like it created a new package javax.swing, and for all the AWT objects, whatever were there, it added this J. J button means like this is Java button, that is a Swing button. Okay, J text field, J text area, J radio button. Similarly, J frame. Earlier the frame was the AWT frame. So Swing also had this J frame. In addition to that one, Swing also follows model view control. This is basically a very good methodology. Okay, so it is called model view and controller. Say for example, this is very good for GUI development. Earlier, what we were doing is like to an object like you add the model, which is means like the data, also its visualization and also like its control. If you have to create a button, you had the button, its design, its visibility, everything is directly added to the button. Even its buttons clicks and all the things are also like directly added. Of course, at least like controller in AWT was different because of that event delegation. At least like it was going to a different listener class. But its model, which is its data, whatever the text it has and everything, and its view, how it is visible, were put in the same class. Okay, but Swing follows this model view controller. So model, it has actually separated this MVC. Okay, so model represents the data, view represents the presentation, how it is presented. Controller actually acts as an interface between this model and view. Okay, so this is a design construct. So basically, like it follows the MVC model. in all its background implementation, it has followed this MVC because all these GUI components are implemented in Java completely. Again, like just like the earlier classes, so still AWT has this component, object component. Now what this Swing has done is like it has a new Java component, J component, which actually extends that component. And all these now the new ones, J label, J list, J table, okay, J button, okay. This list is not complete, okay. So J text field, okay. So it is just giving you an idea like how they are actually working, okay. And just like the container basically is extending all things, okay. So even now we have this J frame, okay, and J applet as well. I think J panel is also there, okay. So which are basically Swing components, okay. So basically like here is the reference, okay. So Java Swing, you go through it one after the other. So now let me try to demonstrate at least one basic thing for you. So demo Swing, this is again very simple one. What I have done is like earlier in my GUI, like the first GUI. So in my demo events, okay, so let me try to run this one again. So this is how my AWT window looks. So text field looks, my button looks. So now the same thing like if I have to do in a Swing. So what I will be doing is, this time what I have to do is, so demo Swing. See earlier like I've had extended, say for example for my demo events, if you really look, so AWT was basically java.awt.start. Now with this Swing, java x.swing.start. This is the place where package where all my components are there. Of course, my events are still with AWT events. So event was, I mean like event mechanism. So the delegation event model was pretty much concrete. So Java has not changed that one. So what I am doing is, see, earlier I was creating just a frame. Now I have a J frame. J frame is a Swing component. So I am creating a new J frame, first Swing example. And then like I am creating a text field. I'm setting the bounds again. I'm creating another button again. Okay. And then like I'm adding that button and then like text field to the frame, J frame this time. Okay, which is a Swing component. And again the standard methods. After set size, I'm setting something. Set layout null. Set visibility to clear. And of course, like when I also added this add action listener. When I click the button, all I'll be doing is like hello world adding. So ignore this one. I was experimenting something. Okay. So basically, all I am trying to set the text. So in terms of going from an AWT to Swing, I have not changed much. Still the same frame. I use J frame. I used to have the text field. Now I have the J text field. I had the button. Now I have J button. That's all. Everything else is the same. Okay. Because there is no other change. But now the interesting thing is, even though you will not see much change in the source code, there are a lot of things which are actually done in the background. Earlier, all the things were basically see. You can very easily see the difference. So this is an AWT window. Okay, I still have my mouse mouse moving basically happening in the background. Whereas this is my Swing example. Which one is beautiful?
I guess this is
Which is beautiful?
probably the Swing one.
Hmm?
I'm saying probably the Swing one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like it depends on application. I mean, like it depends on the platform. See, the advantage of having this one is don't just think about Windows and Linux. Okay. If I basically develop this one using AWT, it's not platform independent. So if I have to generate for Windows, I have to compile it there for that particular JVM and do all sorts of things. Whereas this is purely run in Java, just like any other Java program, I compile it and I run it anywhere. So that's the advantage. Okay. So the interesting thing is like for this button, like for this AWT window, I implemented the window close. For Swing, I don't have to. It has a default implementation. Okay. For window, see, for the Swing application, I only added the button click. I have not added the window closing, just like what I have done for AWT. For AWT, I have deliberately added that window close. Swing is a little bit advanced, so it has all these additional advantages, and there are several default implementations for several of the methods. Okay, so now we have seen the basic Swing. Okay, but definitely what I would suggest, like, okay, so from now on, okay, so let's agree on to one thing. See, when we were discussing the Java basics, I had to explain you all the features, which I did. Okay, so all the basic features, literally every method overloading, overriding, okay, using the final, static, super, all the features, including the keywords I have explained. But as you go to the higher level API, okay, if I have to explain you everything, even the ages will not be sufficient. As I said, like for 20 years I am using Java, still I am learning. So from now on, for the remaining 4 weeks of the lab, you have to cultivate that habit of learning from other sources, okay, trying to be able to deduce the other source code, check through the somebody else's source code and understand it, and if you have to improve that one, how to improve that. And that's what would be my goal for the remaining 4 weeks. Basics, I explained them really deep down, okay, but these higher APIs, I'll be giving you the references. I will be expecting that you guys basically learn all the things. So even in the exercises as well, at least one question I have given in such a way that you study somebody else's source code, which I give the references, and then like you have to improve that. This week's exercise will be at least one of the exercises based on that. So now you know the basic Java, so now you should start learning the API further. So now this reference, okay, so of course like events like you also check, okay. And the Swing, again like this Java T point is a very good one, okay. I basically explained some things, so button labels and button and text field like I have already shown you, but then like it is the same. So labels, okay, text area. As part of the exercises, like I will already ask you like use JLabel. That means like you basically come and study these things and then like use them. Okay. Every bit and piece like we don't have to study anymore at the lab. Okay, so the time will not be sufficient if we go at that level. So you can have these complete tables as well. You can draw lists as well. You can draw menu items. So this is a menu item. You can actually have a menu item as well. If you have the menu item, like you can even have this focus. Okay, so basically like you can have this focus event. Okay, so even that one has menu item events also will be there. It will also have this sort of item event will also be there. Go through them. Go through these things. Okay, so at least like learn the basic ones about all the things, because like there are so many components. Based on the requirement, like you learn those things. Okay, now let's move on. So that's about Java Swing. So the same components, whatever we were using with AWT, Java Swing will add this J in front of that one. So for your source code, like there will not be much different, but then like in the background implementation completely is different. Okay, remember that. So that's about Java Swing classes. Now I have been telling like randomly I am adding those components. So randomly like I added a button. Randomly like I added a text field. But Java has this sort of layout managers. The layout managers is something like this one. The layout managers are actually used to arrange components in a particular manner. There are several types of layouts possible. The layout manager is an interface that is actually implemented by all the classes of the layout managers. And there are different layout managers. Java.awt border layout is there. Okay. Flow layout is there. Grid layout is there. Box layout is there. Group layout is there. In fact, there are a lot of them. A lot of these layouts are there. I'll try to demonstrate at least two of them. But then, like, it is not a complete exhaustive list. So, of course, like even this tutorial has some of them. It has border layout, flow layout, grid layout, and all the things. So, how to use them? You basically go through them one after the other. Okay. So, as I said, like from now on, like I'm expecting you learn a lot from outside. I'll be giving you the references where to learn, how much to learn, and what to learn. Okay, it is not randomly I'm saying like okay, learn everything in Java. So I will basically give you the references, go through. Okay. So as I said, like at least like I will be demonstrating border layout and probably grid layout. Okay, let's go through it. Demo layouts. Okay, so these guys are basically running. Okay. So again, I'll be demonstrating two layouts for you. Remaining things you can learn. Yeah. Okay, so let me first. So what I'm trying to do is like this is a border layout. The border layout basically what it does is like it will put some components in the north, some one I mean like you can put a component in north or south, and like if you put a on this basically frame is a container. On frame like in the north you can put another container, okay, which is like one of the containers you can put, and you can add a lot of buttons on top of that one. There is no problem with that one. Okay, but the idea is like in north it will have a component or a container there. It will have one. In south one, okay. In west one, in east one, in the center there is one more. Okay, so this is how like basically border layout basically works. So what I am doing is like now I created another frame again, J frame this time. Okay, so this is the frame. So what I am doing is like I created 5 buttons. Okay, north, south, east, west, and then like I added respective button to that particular frame. Frame dot add. So B1 is this. Okay, and then like button 2 I am adding to the south. Button 3 I am adding to the east. Button 4 I am adding to the west. Button 5 I am adding to the center. Okay, let me first comment out the remaining things. Once I have this framework, so I need to have this framework to be set visible to, so that means like the next 2 lines should be there. You got the point? So basically I created 5 buttons and I am adding the buttons to different, I am using the border layout, so I am adding them to north, south, east, west, and center. Like I am adding those things. So again, the simple Set visibility to. Okay. So now let me try to demonstrate. See, this is how it actually works. So this is a string J frame. Okay, it is a string components which I have used. Okay, so basically like this is my string thing, which actually shows like in the north there is a button, the west there is a button, south there is a button, center there is a button, east there is a button. So here in this case, like I kept a single button. Okay, so on all the four sides, instead of a button, instead of a component, I can put a container here, because if you really remember, okay, the container is also a component actually. You see, a container is also a component. So instead of I added a button there because it's a component, I could have easily added a container. So I could have added another frame there, and then like to that frame, like you add two more buttons. Okay, if you are so curious, then I can even demonstrate it for you. What I can do is in the north, what I can do is like okay, so I will create another J frame F2. So F2 is also like another frame. New frame. What I can do is like north is one button. I will put B11, another north, right, I will put north left. I'm also experimenting. So what will happen? Let us see. So what I will do is like, so okay, so then I need to set a layout for that one. So F2 dot set layout. Okay, so I will demonstrate one more layout for you. Set flow layout. Sorry. So set layout. I will add new flow layout. Okay, I'm just adding a flow layout. Originally, I was demonstrating a border layout. Only for the upper northern part, like I have created another frame. Okay, so I created a flow layout for that one. So basically, like I'm adding button B1 there. And then like to that framework too, I will also add that B11. Improvisation, that's all. And then like in the northern part, like instead of a button, like now I will add a frame. Let me try to run it. Okay. Adding a window to a container. So you cannot directly use a frame. Illegal argument exception. Okay. So basically adding a window to a container. A container. Why? I have two buttons. New flow layout. Okay. I mean, like this will further complicate it. Okay. Let's just get back to our original example. Because once I have the frame, I also need to have it set visibility to and all these things. So I also have to set its size. Okay. And right now, like I have used frame, but then like it is basically expecting a window. So basically, like Okay, so instead of a component, like I'm adding the JFrame, so it is complaining. So you can actually experiment something like that one. So this layout is not allowing that one, or like I may have to do something more to basically check that one. That's what I always keep experimenting. Okay. So in this case, like let's get back, and then like let us have the button as the north. Okay. So that's the only button which I have. Why this got converted? Okay. So doesn't matter. So anyhow, I got at least the basic thing running, which I got back. Okay. So the north, center, west, east, and south. I of course like you cannot put a frame directly here into a frames into that layout north component, but then like you can also add other things. So basically, I think it is content pane or something. Okay, ignore that one. So later, like in the evening, if I succeed, then I will tell you in the next class. It doesn't matter. But the point is like you can put a single component there, okay, but then like you can also put other things as well there, okay, not just like the single components. Let me quickly see it. A panel. But the frame itself by default, here we are adding them by default, but then like if I add a content pane to it, I remember we can also have a content pane. So this is by default adding to the pane. So mostly these examples are using this content pane. Let me look at this here. So let me use this J panel instead of that one. So basically what I can do is like, since both are becoming frames, it was complained there. So let me have a J panel. Again, an experiment, okay? Whether it works or not, I'm not yet sure, okay? So the panel dot layout, panel dot add button 1, panel dot add button 2. So instead of button 1, like let us try to add panel. Let's try to run it again. So in theory, there is no compilation error. So that's why like we have to go there. See? Yeah, I was right. You just don't have to add a single component there. You can also have multiple components. That's why like you should be knowing about all the components. Okay. See, I wanted to do something. I tried with frame failed. Then I was looking at other components. So by going through the list, like when I came to the panel, I thought like probably this one will work. And I tried the panel this time and the panel worked. You know why it worked? I might have earlier, during my past years of usage of Java, I might have used it sometime or other, this panel. I was already sure that when the container will not work, at least the panel should work. By looking at the hierarchy, if this side will not work, at least this side should work. Okay? So that's why like you may never know like when the requirement of a particular type of a component or a container is useful for you. The requirement may come anytime. See, if I would have been scared of demonstrating the thing to you, what I could have said is like, okay, so it will work only with the components and I move on. But I was sure that it is not only the component, a container can be placed there. Okay, and we have actually put a container here. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
So that's why what I'm suggesting you is after the lecture session, I mean after today's session, you basically go through all of them. I'm not saying like immediately you go through all of them, but then like keep learning about those things. Okay, there is no way that I can demonstrate all the things to you one after the other. Then it will take like full year. Okay, so that's about it. So I have demonstrated, in fact, actually 2 layouts here as of now, because I have shown you the border layout where like you put the items north, south, east, west, and center. I also have shown you the flow layout in which like you will add all the components one after the other. The flow layout components like you see, so they are added one after the other now that they are in center. You can also set them to the right. New flow layout, like if you want to put like flow layout dot right. If I put it like that one, let's see like what will happen. See, they have moved to the right. Earlier they were to the center, now they move to the right. So you can literally play with these GUI. Okay, GUI is something like how creative you are. Okay, and probably being students, you are more creative than me. Okay, so that's about it. So I have shown you 2 layouts. Let me also show you one more layout, which I originally planned. So okay, so I will also show you this border layout I have shown you. I will show you the grid layout. Originally thought of showing you border layout and grid layout. Now I have also shown you border layout, flow layout, and then like grid layout I am showing you now. Grid layout is also again very simple. This time like I have 9 buttons. I have to the frame. Frame is there, my Java frame. J frame, Spring frame is there. So that one like I am adding all the buttons. Okay. And what I will be doing is to the frame like I will be setting a layout. I am putting the grid layout which is 3 by 3. So 3 rows, 3 columns. So now let me try to show this thing. See, I have 3 rows, 3 columns. I have added all the buttons. Now what I could have done is like for clicking each and every button, like I can have an action. That events, how to add action events like we have seen. Okay. Say for example for B1 button 1, like you can actually add an action listener. B2 also, B3 also, B4 as well. It's like the same. Alternatively, you can put all these things into an array buttons. Okay. And also like you can add action listeners for everything. And you can have a single action listener which actually detects if it is button 1, if it is button 2, button 3 or something like that. And as part of the exercise, like I will be giving you that task. I'm giving you that task. Okay. So you try that one. Now you know basic Java. So you keep experimenting. Don't get scared. Okay. So that's about these layouts, Java layout manager as well. Okay. So if you want to, I have given you demonstration for only 2 of these layouts, 3 of the layouts now. There are several other layouts possible. Yeah, there are all these layouts. So if you are curious, like border layout I have demonstrated, flow layout I have demonstrated, grid layout like I have demonstrated. When I was in the industry several years ago, okay, I think around 1999, people were using this grid bag layout very heavily. It's a very nice layout, but also a little bit complicated one to learn. So go through it. Okay. So grid layout as well, like I have demonstrated. There is grid layout. Yeah. Water layout, grid layout, flow layout I have demonstrated. Good. So basically, like I left the references, you keep learning them. Everything is clear as of now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. So basically the idea is, okay, so we have learned as of now. So basically like events we have seen, layout managers we have seen, AWT we have seen, swing we have seen. Next week like we will try to see like what else we can learn. Okay. Especially like if time permits, like I will be talking about JavaFX, okay, which is also the latest GUI. Not latest anymore, from 2010. Okay. So latest is at latest for me in that sense, because I started learning Java way back in 97. Okay. So I have seen AWT. So I have seen the AWT events, this delegation model of events. Java used to have a different event model before this delegation model. That was much worse. You don't even have to learn those things now. Okay. So up to 97, like before this AWT event came, this delegation model came, that was the event model. If anybody is curious, let's try to search for it. I remember it, but I don't know. Java event handling before delegation model. There was something. The delegation model defines standard blah, 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 delegation event model. Okay. So I think delegation event model became so common that people have almost forgotten about the ones which are before, because these ones were there before 97. So let me see, like if he mentions inherently event driven blah 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 in the section text. Okay, no, he is not talking about that. Java event Wikipedia. Originally, see, okay, no. Originating computer events can be generated blah blah blah. Okay, the reference example. Okay, just take it for granted. Before the event delegation model, there was another model for that. Before this event delegation model, which I have explained you. So that became so obsolete that people are not talking about it anymore. But that was used in 1990s, okay, late 1990s. So ignore them, okay. So basically, except that one we have learned as of now, okay. So now the exercises are concerned as far as this exercise 9 is concerned, okay. So basically what I want you to do is like create a Java application, the first one, so which is from Celsius to Fahrenheit converter. So I have given the description. So you need to have two buttons, one for mode conversion, C to F or F to C, and have an area text field where like you enter the value, and then like when you click the button, basically convert it. Okay, use AWT to click for that. Then using the swing, okay, have a text area to find like maximum number of characters there, words there. Last week, like you also worked with strings, so basically it is continuation of that one. Longest and shortest word, like you basically show them in labels. Okay, that's about the next one. The third one is basically designed to flags, France and Germany flag. The France flag will be left to right, three colors. The Germany flag will be top to bottom, just like India flag. Okay, have proper layouts and then like play around with them and then like have those things. Right now, I have used only text fields, but then like you can use labels. For the labels, you can actually set the colors using the setting the colors like you actually use it. That's why I basically want you to learn all the things. Okay, so basically like go through these references which I have provided. Okay, and then like say for example, it is string. So basically, go to JLabel, and then like you will see how to basically set the color. Okay, there will be ways for that. Set text. Okay, so get text. There will also be colors for that one. Okay, or else like you have to draw canvas. So whatever it is, learn it and then like do that. Uh, then basically like I want you to develop this sort of electronic lock system. So basically you have the buttons like this. So originally it will be closed. So you will have a pin, enter the pin. So it should not be showing the pins, but then like it should be showing the stars. If the pin matches, let it open. If the pin won't match, have a wrong pin. So for the respective buttons, like have those sort of add action listeners. So action events, basically. I also have given the hints for each and every button. Like don't add one action listener, then it will be a mess. So I already have suggested that during the session. Have an array of all these buttons and construct a common instance of a named inner class. Okay, for the action listener, named inner class, not anonymous inner class. And within that action listener, that action performed event, like you basically try to identify which of the button. If it is that button, what to do. And that's about for these 4 exercises. But the 5th exercise would be interesting. So I have taken the source code from here. I left the link here as well here. I kept the source code here. I will show you what it does. Okay. See, it is not very complicated source code. Now you have all the background. You can actually understand it just by going through it. Okay. So your Java competence should basically come to that level. See, basically what he is doing is he has an line. Okay. Drawing a line is pretty easy. So now you will be using a canvas for that one. What is canvas and how to use it? You basically learn. So basically, like here he is using draw canvas. Okay, canvas he is using. So basically, with this canvas, you can have that line move left or right. Not just with these buttons, but also like probably you are not seeing. But then like on my keyboard, like I have these left and right keys. So those things are also like he has implemented. Okay, I left the link here and also in your Excel sheet as well. So how he is actually implementing that one is like, see, he has implemented a key listener, key adapter, and he has the support for left key and right key. What he is doing, what is the logic, go through it, you will understand it. Okay, so that guy has basically provided that source code for you. Okay, now what I want you to do in the exercise is, instead of that line, put a ball like this. This ball can move left, right, up and down as well. Implement that logic. Okay, not just left and right, but also up and down. But actually, it is not very complicated. I mean, if you can understand the source code, so for left he is doing something, for right he is doing something. You have to do something for up and for down as well. Not just there, but also for the buttons also, like you need to have the same similar implementations. His idea is like he will draw a line, but what I wanted is like on that canvas, like I wanted you to draw a circle, filled circle. Okay, learn the things. All the things which are required for you are there in the references which I have already given. Okay, so these are the tasks for exercise 9 for you. Everything is clear?
Yes, sir.
Guys, anybody can hear me?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Okay, so everything is clear, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if that is the case, then we are formally done with the session today. Okay, so finish those exercises. Okay, but definitely from now on, you should be learning a lot on your own. All the Java basics are already learned by you. Okay, now if you see any source code, like you will not be scared. So you understand that source code. Okay, so all the basic constructs are already there for you. So in the 8 weeks, like we learned all the basics. Okay. Any further questions? If there are no further questions, then we are formally done with the session. Any guys? Anyone has any questions? If not, then right guys, take care of the lab exercise. Okay. So I'm closing the session here. So I'm stopping the recording and then we'll close the session here. And first I will upload the exercise. Extend the session. Okay. Okay. It wants to play cat and mouse. Okay. Right guys, now that the exercise is also there, okay, please take care of it. Okay, so with this one, like I'm stopping the recording and formally closing the session. Happy learning guys.
Yeah, thank you, sir.